Hey, everybody, and welcome to the season finale of Frank About Health. This is 133 episodes in, and no better than having Reatha Grey come to the season finale because this is her 10th appearance, and she has just won an award, Humanitarian of the Year, which we want to discuss on today's show, and do a lot of reflections on what the year has been, and pretty much like the episode is called, what the future of healthcare is going to be about. Now, the way that we can best discuss the future of healthcare, because it's really unknown, it's all based on the environment, on the illnesses in question, on the research out there, on a lot of advocacy programs and work that we've been discussing on Frank About Health. And also, it's about your own perspective on whatever the healthcare concept you're focused on. So, the best way for us to discuss with Reatha about the future of healthcare is to reflect on her past appearances when she talked about senior care, cardiac care, as well as when we paid tribute to our dear Betty White. Now, that all being said, that's what the whole theme of today's show is about. Retrospective, reflective, and what we think the future of healthcare in 2025 is going to be. So, to issue my disclaimer, this episode is simply conversation between three great friends. So, if you're not happy with the information that's being discussed, please know they are not the views of talkradio.nyc or of Frank About Health, and basically this probably isn't the show for you. I mean, this is more of a chance for us to get ready for the holiday season. We're dimly lit because we lost daylight savings time, but at least we're sunsetting on the year, getting ready for 2025. All right, I think that's all my friendly disclaimer for the moment. Reatha, welcome to your 10th show. And my God, I remember how you helped me launch the show in 2016, and when you and Danielle Swanson called in at the old Talking Alternative Broadcasting Studio, and I think it was 70th Street or something like that. And then, of course, you were on the second show, which got so many views that we repeated it just 3 weeks later when we talked about senior health care and advocacy, especially when you were promoting One Fine Christmas, I think was the show at that time. You know, oh, unmute first.
I was saying, I believe One Fine Christmas will be airing again on one of the channels that plays 24 hours a day Christmas movies and TVs and stuff. But I have a bone to pick with you, Frank. On Saturday Night Live, they get jackets after like 5 or 6 episodes of being there. Where's my jacket?
Oh, wow. Well, you just got another award. I was hoping you would share that with me first.
I will.
No, but we had talked about, like, when we were working on our special project, which we'll learn more about later on in the show, that we would all gather together with you at maybe at the Beverly Hilton again, probably in January or February. We want to we always want to pay tribute to you, and as you will see, or as you've already seen in the project, we paid tribute to our anniversary of our friendship in one particular scene. You know, I guess I got to get her a jacket, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the
Or at
way,
least a
ladies and gentlemen,
sweater,
a sweater?
at least.
Okay, I'll figure. I do have an extra Madonna concert jacket. I could probably get that to you. No, but that all being said, I also, ladies and gentlemen, want to introduce you to Jose Dennis. He is co-hosting the show with me tonight because basically he has been the executive producer of the upcoming project that we will be releasing in 2025, co-executive producer. And at the same time, he has been behind a lot of the many episodes of Frank About Health, even if he hasn't been on camera. So who better than to reflect on the past year going into next?
Hello, everyone.
So now, aside from the jacket, which I have yet to figure out how to get you, what my questions are is tell us about this award you just got.
Well, I received an award. I'll start off first with, let me see, where is it? Oh, here it is. It is called the Lisa, Lisa Pacheco Chow and Dr. Olympia Gellini Awards. They're called the Olympia Awards, even though it's not really the Olympics.
Yes.
But to symbolize that, everyone that received an award received a gold medal. They had about, I'd say, 30 to 40 people, recipients in different categories. Mine was, I'll just read it for you. They basically all say the same. Certificate of Achievement. This certificate is proudly presented to Reatha Grey. This certificate is given to Reatha Grey for her achievement in Lifetime Achievement Award in Entertainment. Award on November 10th, 2024 by the 15th Olympia Arts Award in collaboration with Chow Entertainment International. So as well as getting the gold medal, they also had a few of our politicians, and we have promised Frank we will not go political on him.
Correct.
But this says basically the same thing. This one is for, oh, this is the same one. Matter of fact, let me get another one. This is presented by Fiona Ma, CPA, California State Treasurer. And basically, these are just congratulatory. You can't see it, can you?
Oh, yeah, you have a screener on your Zoom, so
Oh,
I can't see them
that's
right
true.
now.
It's blurring it. But
Yeah.
anyway, we got it from the California legislature. Basically congratulating all of the people who did receive the awards. It was a very lovely night. It was in North Hollywood.
Yes.
I was able to have what little family I have left come and join me there. My sister, Lori Lee, was there. My grandchildren, Michael Brown and Nikise Garland, were there. And myself, we were that's as many blood relatives as I can come up with, pretty much. But we had a great time.
Yes.
Um, and there was lots of lovely entertainment. Sometimes these shows really go way, 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 way too long. This one wasn't too long, and the entertainment was good. I mean, it's not the Emmys, it's not the Grammys. And
Right.
I like to think of myself as collecting this award for the other D-list actors. I don't know if you remember the actress who called herself on the D-list, but yeah, I'm pretty much one of the ones on the D-list. You don't know my name necessarily. You may recognize my face. I've had people stop me on the street and say, I know you from somewhere. And depending on whether it's Christmas, I'll think, well, is it the Christmas show or is it a commercial I've done recently? But we are the hardworking people of the acting profession, and people all know all the big names that are getting all these Grammys and whatever. But they're the ones that maybe work on 2 or 3 movies a year because movies are hard to do. And so you
Yeah.
don't get to see them that often. Or they're the TV people who are like me that may be in the background, not necessarily an extra, but I might just say one word or 2 words or a sentence. I had someone remember me from one of the TV shows, and all I said, I stuck my head around the corner and I said, "Are they gone yet?" And I didn't know people studied TV that hard. She said, "Oh yeah, I saw you last week." I'm like, really? Okay. So
Wow.
we're a whole category of actors. Most actors do not make enough money acting to survive on. They're below the poverty level.
Mm.
And so they have a lot of health issues. And Frank and I said in a little bit, we're going to even talk about just being a struggling actor and what your healthcare objectives are and what you can expect, because people come out to California to be stars, And they asked me, Reatha, what should I do? I just got here from Alabama. What should I do? Go back to Alabama. That's what you should do. There are a few jobs and lots of people. And they get mad at me when I say that. But if I can discourage you, Hollywood's going to eat you alive. So just go back. Be a big star in a small pond. But at any rate, I appreciate my acknowledgments and awards. It was for the fact that I am in entertainment. Like I said, I feel like I represent the little people. And when I say little, I mean it adoringly. We do a lot of work on the set. And I'm humbled to have received it. And it included my work in doing things for the homeless, working in the missions, going to overseas to do missionary work. And it just recognized that I have a lot of time on my hands as a D-list actor, but so do the big guys. They don't do a whole lot of work either with just one or two big things. I just do one or two medium things.
Well, as you probably saw from Logan back there, he said you're A-list in our hearts, and he's absolutely right about that.
Oh.
And I mean, at the same time, we've also pointed out that I think with every actor's mission, there could be a social or political reason why, not referring to politics, but cause focused, like being able to focus on the unseen person with a specific illness, or the unseen person based on their age group or their gender, or even their race, or whatever the circumstances may be. And when I look at your body of work, from One Fine Christmas, where you played a woman who lost both her husband and her son, and your whole community came out to give you gifts at the end of it because they realized all the work you did for them, to all the commercials you've done, healthcare commercials, as well as, one of my favorites, Hilton, and also, Walmart for back to school. Then also Betty White's Off Their Rockers, where you're dealing with the young set and how you, the older set, is getting back at them. There's always a lot of narratives behind all of the work you do. I guess it just takes someone like me to point it out, because after all, I'm trying to point out that for a health-oriented podcast, it is your quote-unquote D-list work that is actually resonating more with people than A-listers are doing.
Well, I remember you in a scene from Three's Company at the Regal Beagle.
See, Joyce,
and that was at a dentist office also.
Hmm?
You were at a dentist office also, so there's a little bit of healthcare in there too.
I was in the Regal Beagle all the time. They just didn't show me. The game was not to be recognized, so you could come back every week and be in the same place, but you got your back to the camera. You're still an extra, but you got paid. So, what can I say?
Well, we're about to take our first commercial break. When we do, hopefully I'll find some more light in here. But at the same time, I want to be able to now really flesh out your work, not just with what your missionary work, but and your work with the homeless, but I also want to really reflect on episodes of Frank About Health that you've done where you were showing your advocacy work. And then of course we'll wrap up the show with the kind of advocacy that all of us collaborated on, even Logan behind the scenes, that we will be showing in 2025. All right, everybody, please stay tuned right here on Frank About Health. We'll be back in a few.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to the hard skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
If you don't have your health, what do you really have? It's time to feel good in your body and shift from struggle to ease. Hi, I'm Elizabeth Tripp, your host of Nourish the Soul, where we explore the sacred wisdom of your body while you sit back, relax, and go on a journey of self-discovery. Join me every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to awaken your heart, transform your well-being, and unlock a deeper understanding of yourself.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back. One of the main reasons why I love Reatha is because literally from day one, when I met her in February of 2013 at an Oscar gifting suite, we hit it off like that because of our mutual connection to Betty White. Me, I was just meeting her and working with her agent on trying to help keep the show that Reatha was on active and participating with the network. And lo and behold, that's how Reatha and I managed to literally do what we can by actually working on a documentary together. That was pre-Obamacare. So from the start, we always had health in mind. Now, throughout our 12 years or so since we first met, we have been talking about healthcare issues across the board, both on and off camera. And what we want to now, Joey has a question that was going to really now flesh out parts of Reatha that I didn't even know until pretty much the last couple of weeks, which is why she got the award due to her humanitarian efforts and missionary efforts, things that I had no knowledge of. But it really shows that while Reatha dubs herself a D-list actress, she's an A-list, like what Logan said, A-list soul. And I think that is what her work has been able to resonate. Like with Retirement House, I mean, the name itself speaks elderly. And at the same time, not to mention the commercials for Cabenuva, as well as for Right at Home, which I had featured here on Frank About Health. She's concerned about the future of healthcare, but she's also concerned about the future of her community. That's what makes a true advocate. So I guess I want to let Joey ask you about your missionary work, and then I want to recap with you some of those episodes we've done and some of those commercials we've done, so you can educate the audience out there as to what they need to be aware of for the future.
Yes, I found it very intriguing to know that you went out and did missionary work. So what type of missionary work did you get into?
Unmute.
I forget.
No problem.
Okay, I'm unmuted. I've done lots of different type of missionary work. I started on Skid Row, where it was just a bunch of women and I didn't gather the group together, but we would go out regularly and we would take food. We would take hot food because people can get food down on Skid Row. People can get handouts. People can get money from, cars passing by and run into 7-Eleven and get a soda. But they can't necessarily get a hot meal. And so we would make, beans, greens, soup, things that would stay hot. We'd take a hot plate and we would go and we would just love on them and introduce ourselves, because one of the main complaints that the homeless have is that people look through them. It's not like they look at them. They divert their eyes. I do it. When the guy's walking down the aisle, on the street and I'm in the car, I'm looking everywhere else I can other than looking directly at him, because it's not safe.
Mm.
People think, how can you just not do anything? Well, do something. I'm not saying don't do anything, but it's not safe. If a woman rolls down her window that's on the passenger side to give some guy $1, he's going to take her whole purse. Not always, but it's just not safe. So we would go down there, we would talk to them, we would have normal conversations with them. We weren't there to ridicule or to judge them. We wouldn't say, why don't you get a job? Well, clearly they can't. For whatever reason. It can be their own fault, but still, they want to just have conversations. I used to love to ask them, do you have children? And they'd say, yes. And I said, do you see your children? And they'd think about it and they'd say, oh, I'd love to see my children, but my ex-wife, she won't let me see them. And there's a reason. But it gives them an opportunity to remember when they had a normal life, when they really did get to go to Thanksgiving dinner. We used to serve, we would volunteer to serve at the LA Mission to hand out the Thanksgiving dinners out on the street, and they could bring their whole family and just have a good old-fashioned home outing.
Mm-hmm.
And they would love it. They would enjoy it. And sometimes their families would come and the children would get to see their parents. And I mean, men and women. There are also women on Skid Row. So I started there. And just before I left working at the LA Mission, I went on a mission trip to Nicaragua. I had never been to I had been to Tijuana, but I don't really consider that a third world country because you can walk right in. But in Nicaragua, it was frightening to me. Open sewers, people living in tin huts, and I was really touched by two things that happened when I was there. We went to a place that was the word it was called meant the dump, and it was a dump. And they told us we're going to try to take food in, but it may get rough out there, so we may have to leave in a hurry. And sure enough, we stopped one place, we gave out a little bit of food. The next place we got to, the crowd was bigger. We could tell that the word was, getting out that we were there. And the thing is, in all these third world countries, everyone has a phone. Everyone. Because they don't have landlines. Their country was never developed to have landlines, but they all have phones. They don't always have time on their phones, but they've all got phones. And so I figured they were calling around, telling them the missionaries are here, they're bringing food. All of a sudden, we got swarmed on the bus, and they started rocking the bus. And the bus driver said, we got to go, because we were throwing the food out the window. He said, no, don't throw it because I'll run over them. Stop. We got to get out of here. Mm-hmm. And these people actually lived in the dump. You could see the houses made out of garbage. And it was frightening. They were there with their kids. It was just horrible. And then another day we went to hand out food, and there were people. It was a living like suburb, I guess, but outside of the city, and they had shacks made out of tin and bamboo and whatever other kind of vegetation they use for walls. And I walked inside one to give a lady something, beans. I think we were giving out beans and rice. And she had her baby in a hammock. And her baby was only a week old. Mm. It was so hot in that hut. It felt like I was in an oven. And I broke down in tears. It's like, how can you have your baby in this hut? You're roasting your baby. This is horrible. Mm. And outside was equally as hot. And then plus then you had the sun. So realistic, she had no choices. And I was kind of hooked then. I wanted to go back to other countries. And I realized we just do a drop in the bucket, when we go out there. One time I went to I was in Africa, and it was a group of women, and the men in the village said, "What are these women here to do? How can they help you?" And we were there to paint the school. They had built the school and they needed it painted. And they said, "Women don't paint." And so we got our brushes, we got our paint, and we painted that schoolhouse. And the men were just shocked. They were just shocked. And it wasn't, a big thing to us to go paint a school, because it was not like our schools. Believe me, one room schoolhouse we painted, but it made us feel good. And especially when we would pray for the children, they would say, we would ask them, what would you like us to pray for? And they'd say that I could get a uniform so I can go to school. Because if they couldn't afford a uniform, they couldn't go to school. And I think of the kids in America. It's like, what do you want for Christmas? Oh, I want an Xbox and a bicycle and DMX. And it's like, no, I think every American actually should go into a third world country and stay for a week without their cell phone. Just to visit, not to stay at the Hilton, but and I stayed at a very nice Hilton in Africa, but no, to go into the bush and see how people really, really lived there. And you talk about healthcare. One of my other heartbreaking moments was we went to a hospital in Nicaragua, and we went to the pharmacy, and we would see, rows of empty places where the medication should be. And then we would go, and then there was no medication there. And then we would see a prescription on a bench. And then we'd walk further, and it was just, there was no medication there. It was horrible. It broke my heart when I think of, all the medications we have in all of our pharmacies. So that's a brief look into my missionary journey.
But would you say that the reason why that those individuals ended up on Skid Row is because they were not mindful of their health, or was it just different circumstances altogether?
We're all 3 bad decisions away from homelessness. We don't think about it that way, but in the real world, you make 3 really bad decisions and you can end up on Skid Row. There are people there with PhDs. There are people that were very fruitful in their professions. Something happened, or their jobs went away. I was crushed in my own mind at the thought of all the garage attendants that got laid off when they automated garage attendants. And I don't know why it hit me one day, but it just hit me. It's like, that has to be hundreds of thousands of people's jobs in America. If you've been sitting at a thing, taking a ticket and sticking it in for the last 10 years, what are you suited to work for? What are you suited to do? And a lot more is going to be missing professions because they're going to be taken over by AI or whoever or whatever.
Well, we're about to take our next break, and when we return, do you have any other questions following that? I definitely want to hear, because I know we had discussed about some of your concerns.
I'll be less long-winded.
What?
I'll be less long-winded.
Oh, no. I mean, definitely. You represent kind of a dichotomy. On one aspect, you're a comedic actress, and you really know how to pull on the heartstrings on certain characters that you play, but then you really have good intention behind all of that. And I guess for those that don't really know you, they never know that, or they never hear about it, and I'm trying to work this show to make sure that people know that about you, especially before we go towards the holiday season and into 2025. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in a few. Stay tuned.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Were you an essential worker during the pandemic? If you needed to learn stages of epilepsy, did you depend on advocates? Did you use new innovations to cope with mental and neurological issues? Maintaining high quality of life and keeping good mental health are what we all strive for. I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each week top healthcare influencers, professionals, and innovators answer these questions and more. Stay tuned on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will continue to be frank about health with all of you.
Hi, I'm Linda Marsanico. The A Train to Sedona is a memoir about my journey to love and compassion. It's also the name of my new broadcast on Wednesdays at 12 noon. When we are spiritual, we embrace possibilities and ideas, which strengthen our mind, body, spirit, health, and wisdom. On the A Train to Sedona broadcast, I plan to interview guests who embrace these expansive practices. Join us on Wednesdays at 12 noon on Talk Radio New York City.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back. What were the additional questions you had, Joey?
Well, I remember watching that movie that she made, One Fine Christmas, and how your character always made people happy, especially when you made your cookies, and always shared your cookies with them, and how the community came together when they found out about your loss, the loss of your husband and child in the car accident, and how you shared that with a couple of your friends, and how the community came to celebrate you. In the end, I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, you always
It
use the
was a
phrase.
wonderful. It was a wonderful part for me to play. I was very excited about being in that movie, and it's so true. There's so many people that again, especially as you grow older, and I don't care who you are, how many friends you have, they decrease the older you get. They pass away, they move away, all kinds of things happen. So it's really good. I every time I hear on the news that the police had to make a welfare check, that's always so sad to me, because that means no one saw them every day. No one missed them for, a couple of days to a month,
Mm.
And I'm guilty. I should be more mindful of my neighbors. We do kind of look out to make sure the Amazon box doesn't get left at the wrong door, but we really need to be closer to our neighbors.
When you say in the movie "Right as Rain," obviously that was scripted, but it kind of resonates with your intention in how you connect with others, correct? You just want everyone to know that rain is natural. It's all natural. Right as rain is what you're really saying, that it's all a natural process, right? Is that what you're
I like the way you said that. I actually, I'm not in those words. I haven't, but I will use it in the future. I always tell people it's just natural. Life goes on, whether you're grieving or whether you're, buckling up and saying, I'm okay, everything's going to be all right, and you're dying inside. But life goes on, and it is natural, and you need to find your purpose and do it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when it's a close relative, like even though I was very happy to have my relatives at the award ceremony, it was like there's so many relatives that weren't there because they no longer are here. But I can't concentrate on that because it is just natural.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I guess when I look back at the episodes that you've done on Frank About Health, I keep remembering that three-parter cardiac show that I put together back in 2023. And I think his name was Peter Weinberg, and he was talking about plaque removal, drinks that he could highly recommend, Living Well, I think was the name of it. And you were explaining about how you were so mindful of your history with cardiac episodes that it took an entire getaway to the hospital to find out that you were just having a different reaction, an infection reaction. So it had its own mini series tied to it. How would you qualify that particular episode as something that you advocate for, especially in the area of cardiac care?
Well, especially for women, women don't have the elephant on their chest feeling. They don't have any of, I shouldn't say all women, but women in general don't have the drastic signs of a heart attack that men do. And so I definitely advocate for women. If it doesn't feel right, go to the doctor. Go to urgent care. I know that waiting in urgent care could be the worst nightmare, but still go and get it checked out, because what you might think is something very little might be something very big.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. And then what about, for example, the episode where we were talking about Right at Home with Reatha Grey, and you were looking at pretty much the equivalent of CDPAP care or caregivers within your own family, which Joey and I are caregivers for my father, paid caregivers, but at the same time, in that commercial, you're talking about something that I reflected on last week's episode of Frank About Health, which is a form of in-home care that could be qualified either for hospice or palliative care, depending on the illness. What was your interest in doing that commercial?
Well, there are people that need care because they can't cook for themselves really anymore. I remember when they put in the new stove for my aunt because she had been used to a gas stove and she had caught a tea towel or something on fire. And they said, whoops, gotta go. And they had to replace the stove. And she's 101 years old. She lives by herself, but she has lots of caretakers. She does not qualify to get her caretakers taken care of because we jokingly say that she still has the first penny that she ever earned. and that's basically the two classifications that qualify for health care. You've saved enough money and you can afford to buy help when you need it, which can include 24 hours at your home, or you're poor enough to afford it that you will get government assistance. So one of my things that I'm really advocating now is save money because you might live to be old. And if you don't have money to take care of yourself, you are at the mercy of these daycare centers, these workers that come into your homes, and you don't have control over your life. My 101 aunt, I mean, she gets up and walks around the house, but she really doesn't get out anymore. But she's able to have people that can take her. And again, I just save money, get insurance. You may have to take care of yourself, and God forbid that you don't have any money or any relatives or anyone who knows or cares enough about you to advocate for you. My friend Millie had no one. What was a friendship that was over the years was a close friendship, but by no means did I ever imagine that I would spend approximately 3 years taking care of this woman? And I had no legal papers, but the system is so messed up that I had no legal papers that said I could order anything. They let me order all kinds of stuff for her because there was no one else they could talk to. And they needed to do, and I was making decisions without having anything signed. And of course, my friend Millie was fine with it. I never forced her to do anything she wanted to do. But, if she had had any money hidden in that house, she had people running in and out of the house trying to apply for the job that you look at them and say, they're up to no good.
Wow.
So it's as you get older or while you're young, plan to get older.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
can't take it with you.
No,
No, that's
that's
true.
for sure. So, what would you say were some of your favorite episodes that you have done on Frank About Health that you can recall?
Oh, I always like warning women about the heart attacks because they don't know. They really don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And any type of warning that we can give about healthcare, about heart attacks, about diabetes, or any things people don't know. And it's amazing to me. Doctors expect you to know things. And it's like, I don't know what the last 10 big words you said were. I can't look them up because I can't even pronounce them. But I enjoy distributing knowledge because we just don't know. We just don't know.
We're about to take our final break, but before we go, if you were to look at your stages in your career since we first met, from Betty White all the way up to retirement house, what would you say were your top 3 milestones in the last 12 years or so?
Well, of course, doing the Betty White Off Your Rockers was wonderful. We did a year and a half worth of shows. It was fun. Working with Betty was the thrill of my life. She really was just a wonderful person. And I have a surprise for you, Mr. Frank.
Yes.
Are you ready? I saved this. This is extra. Read all about it. Hot off the presses. Betty White is going to be on a stamp next year.
I saw that today on the news.
I wanted to be the first to tell you.
Oh, no. I actually wanted to reach out to Jeff, but I said, let me wait until all of this dies down. But yeah, I am sure that is something that the government worked on with the estate. And
the first that Logan's heard of it.
Yeah, no, it was on Good Morning America, and they were playing the theme from the Golden Girls as they were announcing it.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I can't get ahead of you, Frank. When
Well,
it comes
it's a
to
time
Betty.
difference.
Oh, well, that's true.
Just a joke. Either way, I remember we're about to take our final commercial. I just wanted to close by saying I remember when I went out there a year and a half ago to help Vertice with her surgery, and you were on the phone with me the entire time. I mean, even from the moment before I boarded the plane to come out there. So you were doing a lot of help for me during that whole, all of a sudden, cross-country advocacy program that I didn't exactly sign up for, but Vertice, had no one to deal with. And thankfully, all the work that I've been doing for my father and for my cousin allowed me to just put it together for her. All right, everybody, we'll be back in a few.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Broncu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
So, Joey, you had a question.
Oh, this past year I've seen you on many commercials, especially Hilton commercials and stuff like that. So which one has been one of your favorites that inspired you?
Unmute.
Getting I'm used to being on the set where somebody does that for me. The Cabenuva commercial was one of my favorite. It's a HIV drug that they don't call it curing, but your viral load becomes so low that it's undetectable. And I was the grandmother of the person who was leading the commercial, and the director came over to the group of us that were the lesser people there, and he said, "I guess you're wondering why you're here, why I chose you to be in this commercial," and we all kind of went, "Yeah." He said, because I wanted people that I felt like I could be around all day long.
Yes.
So for actors that say, why didn't they pick me? It could be just as simple as they didn't think they could be happy with you all day long. And the at-home commercial, I enjoyed that, but I had come in on a plane and I had not had any sleep. And people were talking about, you were sure looking bad in that first scene. Yeah, I was exhausted. I didn't want to be there. I'd wake up in the middle of something and ask the lady next to me, what line are we on? It's amazing, but they actually just picked that commercial up for another year, I think. So
it's been on since 2012, hasn't it?
Maybe.
I mean, 2022.
Yeah, 22. Yeah.
Wow. It must be the time of night. No, but yeah, the thing is that I look at you in that commercial and the various iterations of it. I know there are different chapters, kind of the way that they edited it together. And you're in all of those, well, 3 of the 4 edits. There's an airport scene that I don't see you in at all.
That's the Cabenuva commercial.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not in the airport. But my guy doesn't go to the airport.
No, I know the one that you're at the party. You're actually
right. No, that's Cabenuva.
There's a party. You're dancing. You're walking around with a bunch of people. You know, I guess the thing is that for it to have that kind of longevity, 3 years. That must be something in the way that you're portraying your role in that commercial.
Apparently it's working for them. And Hollywood, I'm going to throw this in real quick about the future of health. one of the things that people don't know about actors is that we get health insurance based on how much money we made the year before.
Right.
So you can be a A-lister, you the big name, first name on the screen, you make enough money to have your insurance for it's only $20,000 a year you have to make. And you've been making it for the last 20 years. Your show gets canceled. You say, okay, I'm gonna take a little break here now. I'm not gonna work so hard. I don't have to worry about it. You don't make the $20,000. You no longer have health insurance the next year. And a lot of actors don't get insurance consecutive years anyway. So they don't even realize, I'm not going to get insurance next year. Others are just on the borderline. They make it, but barely every year. Those are usually probably the commercial actors. But there's going to be a flood of people that don't have insurance based on the fact that they just didn't qualify for it. And people that are going to be laid off are going to have to chip in their early retirement money, or just the number of people that are going to be turning 65. And most places are not allowing you to retire at 65.
70 now.
70, and for some of the acting professions, it's 73. You can't collect it till you're 73.
Wow. So
the future of healthcare, I hope you saved your pennies, because they didn't give me the right advice. I've been very fortunate, and not because I've made a lot of money. I've been very fortunate that I've made money and it has fallen within the amount of money I needed to make in order to be able to continue to be covered by my insurance.
Well, right now we're about to see how both Joey and I have worked this past year to really build that reserve going into the future. You know all about it, but I guess for everyone out there, stay tuned for what you may have seen last week if you were watching last week's episode. Okay, Logan, take it away.
On a day like any other.
March 13, 2024 is the 40th anniversary of my very first seizure.
Life can completely change its course in the blink of an eye.
Because of my epilepsy, I had to discontinue the show. The seizures were coming fast and furious. I therefore had to quit my job at Hilton.
In a situation like this, most people boil it down to two options. They can completely shut down and allow this sudden change to overcome them.
I was of that generation that, if you're 30, you might as well die because you're old.
Or they can use it as a learning experience and pivot their life into an entirely new direction.
I was just taken by Frank's courage to talk about his chronic health situation, and again, to find a way to live with seizure activities and live with epilepsy. You are not epileptic, you are living with epilepsy.
Right.
And to take that fact and decide I'm going to thrive in life. This is a part of my life. It's not defining me. It's not who I am. It's a part of me.
In 2025, you'll hear the story of Frank R. Harrison, a man who looked at his epilepsy and chose option 2.
I think Frank R. Harrison is a badass. He's one of my heroes.
Creating a phenomenal platform to share healthcare stories, treatments, opinions, and more.
My academic background is I have a master's degree in neuropsychology, and I did an entire thesis upon graduation that had to do with epilepsy and its relationship to depression and anxiety. So all I learned from the social variables that I could equate is that an epileptic patient's quality of life is always at risk and at question.
There is the industry of healthcare, and then there is the profession of caring, so the caring professions are always looking to do patient-centered care and, of course, create a sense of well-being. And, when we are discharging patients, making sure that they feel empowered and safe enough to take care of themselves once they're home. They may need some support.
We live in a world that is I don't know if it's always been very stressful, but it's definitely gotten more stressful, I think. And they say like 80% of illnesses and disease and mental health stuff is a direct result of stress, or is caused by stress.
Being frank for a healthy future.
Awesome. And yet the thing is that you were talking about, you hope you save your pennies. Well, quite frankly, with the way that I was actually with a reserve that I could thank Hilton for, we were able to do this project, but now we have to come up with the right revenue generation and do exactly that. Give back to the community at large. Whether it is the Hilton community or not is still the question, but it is the overall community of those that are in need of real direction in their quality of life going forward, you know? So, ladies and gentlemen, I hate to admit it, but I think 1 minute left for the show. I just have to say, thank you for watching Frank About Health for the last 3.5 years, 133 episodes. Thank you, Reatha, for being part of 10 of them, 10 very valuable shows. The tribute to Betty White, the 2-hour Share the Care panel, the 3-episode series on your cardiac event, the senior care advocacy work you've done, Reatha's retirement house, not to mention this very show right here. Ladies and gentlemen, myself, Jose Dennis, and Reatha Grey are basically, I think we've grown into becoming healthcare advocates. We promise that in 2025, I will continue bringing more episodes of Frank About Health. In addition, I will be driving home all of our stories together on my new portal, healthymedia.com, which will launch around 2025. And more importantly, just want all of you out there to know that the future is in your hands. You just have to be made aware of it. And I think Reatha represents that through her award and through her advocacy work. A lot of it is from within, and then she puts it out there. But how else are you in charge unless you look from within? A lot of people, unfortunately, have never really learned that, which may explain, for example, Reatha, my earlier question as to how some of those people ended up on Skid Row. They probably were not looking from within during their circumstances. I mean, again, that's just a takeaway. But thanks to Reatha Grey for being an advocate of various commercials, various TV shows, TV movies. Of course, I think, Reatha, you and I are connected forever. Thank you, Betty. But at the same time, I know we can do even better things together in 2025. We just got to keep with our focus and our intentions. And Joey, I know you have a lot of similar comments on this as well. You wouldn't have stuck along with me on the last 3.5 years of putting these shows together if it wasn't that way. But I just want to say I will be taking the holiday hiatus, and I intend to return with a new episode of Frank About Health in the middle of January. So I will be gone for about 6 to 8 weeks, but there will be replays, and you can look at us on our YouTube channel, as well as if you are watching us on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitch. We will have future episodes between now and the new year. Thanks again, Reatha, for everything. And I guess we're signing off now. Okay?
My pleasure.
All right. And congratulations again, Humanitarian of the Year.
Yes.
Thank you.
All righty. Bye-bye.